When I think about all of the stories in the New Testament, the one that keeps jumping out at me is the moment when Jesus looks at the 12 disciples and says, "You are the light of the world. That's who you are." The implication is, be the light of the world. And that's always how I have thought of this church. I've always thought of South Church as being a light in this world. There are so many stories, so many examples, from youth mission trips with Habitat for Humanity, to soup kitchen work, to orphanage relief. And when I think about this capital campaign, I think about it being one huge opportunity to be a light in some of those remaining dark places in the world. I'm remembering our previous campaign in the early 90s when we acquired the High Street School. And on our groundbreaking day, instead of taking shovels and digging a hole in the ground, we took crowbars and we pulled the plywood sheets off of the windows at the school to once again let the light in.
We started in youth ministry actually before we had children in the older program. Dan was a Wednesday school teacher. I started going on the youth mission in the 11th and 12th grade programs, and I was so moved by the kids that I started teaching. When they asked me to teach Wednesday school, I leapt at the chance to get to spend more time with the teenagers in our church. I find them to be remarkable, caring individuals, and it just makes me want to do it all over again.
People do enter into the church community through many different kinds of doors, and we find that members of the larger community find their way into South Church through the healing ministry. And typically it's a handful of folks from our church community who have answered that call to be a healing witness to the world. And then it's people in the community who are grieving or hurting or need a sacred space to just sort of be ministered to and cared for. What it says to the world is that South Church is a place that wants you to experience the healing love of God.
Each year in confirmation class, I take the group on a field trip and we visit varieties of churches, and I invite the group to look at the architecture and see if they can figure out what the building committee said to the architect about what they believe, so the architecture could reflect the theology. When I think about South Church, I think about an architecture that has lots of doors, buildings that allow people to come in from many directions. I love the idea that people could come in through the choir door, and that's their entry into the community of faith through music. Others have come in through the nursery school door, others through the Wednesday school supper door. Others have come in through the Horace Bushnell pantry. There are umpteen doors in this church, and I see that as a wonderful statement to this community, that this is a place where everyone can have an encounter with the sacred.
Complaints, when you look at the survey that was done in the town of high school students, there's nothing to do. So if you provide them something that is a good thing to be doing, they'll come and they'll do it instead of go out and mess around and do things that they shouldn't be doing and getting in trouble. It's a meeting place to for the kids to get together and have Wednesday school, which we haven't started Wednesday school yet, but I understand it's a huge event, and I don't know how they make a meal in that kitchen. There's a lot of other social opportunities that if you have a big enough room and a big enough space, you can provide that. And from what I see in this town, there's just more and more kids, and you got to meet their needs. Just like we need to meet people who are handicapped needs, and that's not just the elderly, that's the kids as well. There's kids in our congregation and kids in our community that have a handicap that they're not able to get to the bathroom, and until you have that experience where you're standing there with somebody going, okay, well, you got to go down 3 flights of stairs to get there, or 2 flights, or 2.5, or whatever it is. You don't realize how difficult it really was. I thought it was really neat when you guys had, when you were talking about the building, and you suggested people take the route that you would have to do from the meeting house to go to the restroom without taking any stairs. And that happens a lot with handicap accessible stuff. They set it up so, oh yeah, there's a handicap ramp, but guess what? You just walk 3 miles to, make it happen. Well, a lot of people that are handicapped that can't do stairs can't do distance either. So, and obviously going outside in New England is not the best choice either for getting around the handicap issue. So I think both of those populations are addressed with that new building.
I think we're constantly reminded that the barriers of stairs in this facility, and sort of the way that the facility is laid out, the many sort of wings, down the hall here are 2 rooms, and down the hall there are 3 more rooms, and up the stairs over there are 2 more rooms. It's certainly a barrier in a lot of ways.
It's hard to imagine what the difference it could make to have an entire staff sort of located closer together. But it builds community. It's a way of being able to really know that, an answer or an idea or support, whatever it is just across the hall, and that together you're sharing your gifts in a way that is maximized. So when you don't have to trucks up the stairs, or people don't have to truck down the stairs to you, then it really says to whomever comes to the church that, we have a team here. We have a community of staff who really want to meet your needs. We're all centrally located, and we can sort of, feed off of each other and work with each other in that way. And so, it says to the world as they come in, whomever's here that has the gifts to meet your needs, we'll find a way to do that.
I think that by enlarging that space and making it more accommodating to everybody who's able to come in the door, that we invite people to be here, and that we invite them, whether it's putting air conditioning in for those people who don't tolerate heat well in the summer, to making it all on one floor so those people who on crutches for whatever reason or in a wheelchair are able to access the building. I think we become more inviting when we have a more inviting space and the ability to hold everybody, whether it's after in the coffee hour, the social hall. I think that's our biggest, for me sometimes, we get through church because we have a couple services, but then everybody wants to go and chat and talk to each other and want to see which committee is doing what. And we get in there and you can't move. So I would say over half the people just leave. They never even go into the social hall to stop and have that cup of coffee or to chat. And I think that's because there's not room.
Right from the outset, the church became family, and I'm a beginner in terms of my spiritual life relative to others I rub shoulders with. The clearest evidence I have of God, I think, other than nature, is the people I see in church. I can see so many that say, wow, they've been touched. You can just see it in their lives. This crystallized even better, more clearly, as Beverly and I ran into our own medical problems, challenges, starting in 2003. And starting at that point in time, the clergy and the laity of this church became more intensely than ever our family, a very important part of our extended family. And because of that, we have found it more and more important that we be in church on Sunday morning. This summer in particular, I guess because I'm so involved in the campaign, I've gone through about 8 Sundays in a row where I just get lifted right out of my pew, whether it's the youth or it can be most anything. I told a story a couple of weeks ago about one of the toughest days of my illness when I was about to come back to church for the first time without any hair. thanks to my chemotherapy. And I said, geez, this is going to be awkward, and or will it be awkward, or will it be embarrassing, whatever. And that was before I even got into the choir room. Any concern about that had just been obliterated. Ellie Hollister came over one and rubbed my bare scalp, and Peg Reduker came over and said, wow, you look handsome. She'd already had a brother who'd gone through this once or twice, so I don't know if she knew the right thing to say, but it was the right thing to say. I just got, instead of a difficult day, I went home exhilarated once again, like seems to happen so often at South Church.
When I think about the identity of this church, I think we are a community that takes seriously the naming of individuals' spiritual gifts and then empowering those individuals to use those gifts for the sake of peace, for the sake of justice, for the sake of the kingdom of God. Over the years, we've seen this congregation name spiritual gifts that were appropriate for ordained ministry. Lucia Jackson, Ann Alvord, Katie Wilcox, Ryan Henderson, Jonathan Drury, Marianne Pirtle, to name a few.
The first day I walked in here, Dick Allen was sitting up there at the pulpit, and I knew that I had found a home, and I can't even begin to tell you how it's touched all of our lives. My husband and I finally both now have a place we can come to that we both believe in the same thing. I got baptized here the year I turned 40 because I was so moved by what was going on. I'd never been baptized. Lynn told him we went on a women's retreat to this beautiful water thing, and it just inspired me so much. I came right back the next day and said, will you baptize me, please? I had never really wanted to be. I never felt that I've always been very spiritual in myself, but had never found a religion that allowed me to express and to find my faith instead of just saying you should have faith because I tell you so. So for me, that's always definitely been a journey, and it will always be a journey, I think, for anybody. So I came home when I came here. And I think for me, it's sad that I had to be 38 or 39 years old before that happened to me. But I know that even my children, while they're exploring their faith, and they're children, so that changes on a moment-to-moment basis, I know that at least they're in a very safe space with which to do that. So that's what we've gained in our family, is a place to be safe and to explore our faith.
That's what we all wish that our children will do, is learn from those experiences.
Learn to give, pay back.
Like you.
Now
Pay it
back.
forward.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, my birthday. It's about a little boy who, for his world history project, he's supposed to try to find a way to give back to the community and make it a better place. So he says, well, I'll do a good thing for this person, or to 3 people, and those 3 people each have to do a good thing to 3 more people. Mm-hmm. And that way, maybe the whole world will get, or everyone in the world will get something good.
As I like to say, I think it's important that you give till it feels good.
I have one other memory. I'm remembering going home from the meeting where we voted to proceed with the High Street School renovation. And I told my son Russell that we were leasing the school from the town for 99 years for $1 a year. He thought about that for a few seconds, ran up to his room, and came right back down with a $1 bill. He said, this will pay for the first year. For him, that was a sacrificial gift. And that inspired me. That inspired many. And that's what it will take for this campaign to be as successful as the previous. There need to be a lot of Russells out there who are willing to catch the spirit of this, the importance of it, and then to run to our hidden treasure and say, here it is, here's my sacrificial gift.